Today's edition of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox is brought to you by Casa D'Angelo, with locations in Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, and Aventura.
Hold the Mayo. It's time for Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Find out what's being served with Mike, Defo and Lubie, the only show that covers food, sports, and the proper maintenance of your car. And now, a man who had the distinction of having an entire health clinic named in his honor, Mike Mayo.
I want the flim flam sauce with the awesome fave, with shafafa on the side.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. It is Tuesday, March 25th, and once again, you see us at home, but that's okay. You know, we're all kind of trying to get back in the groove. I had a pretty nasty head cold, and apparently, Jeff Defo DeForest, I'm not the only one, because I got word today that one of our favorite Lunchbox hosts, Lenore Gilbert, is battling the same malady that basically knocked me out last week. So she had to postpone and reschedule because she's hacking up a lung, kind of like I was on Thursday and Friday. And we wish her to get better soon. So we will be at Gilbert's, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, April 3rd. But when there is change, there is opportunity, because I'm very excited to announce that this Thursday, we are going to be getting a sneak peek preview pre-opening edition at Jarrell Jones's new Fat Boys Barbecue, which is located all of 50 yards from my house. So this might be on Thursday, the most convenient stop in the history of the Lunchbox Tour. And we know Jarrell. We did a show with him and Nikki Mohan for a Visit Lauderdale edition a couple of years ago.
A very COVID-riddled edition where you sat on the other side of the restaurant, and it was extremely
I had a mask. I think it was our radio-only days. Is that right? And unbeknownst to, well, I knew about it, and I didn't say, well, I don't know. I had COVID at the time, but I was doing my best not to infect anybody. That was the weird time where I lost my sense of taste and smell. And Jeff Defo DeForest, that'd be like you losing the ability to read a racing form. It's very, very odd. How are you today? Are you freshly coiffed? Do you have a haircut?
It looks nice.
I got a haircut, but it's kind of squashed down now. I think I look better on the show this morning because I went for the walk of life. I had to wear the hat out there to avoid getting the damaging rays of sun and all of that. But yeah, it looks like you did too, Mike Mayo.
No, this haircut is several weeks old, but I'm just good looking. And sometimes when I take a shower and bathe, I actually bathe after I took a walk of life with Val this morning. We did about 3.6 and a little bit humid out there, but it was good. It was nice to get around the New River. Bumped into our friend Anthony Bruno, who lives in my neighborhood now, and he was just getting ready to go to the gym. Talk about looking good. He looks buff and fit, and the man is he's a marvel because he just keeps going. He loves the restaurant business. And but wait, so did you have the haircut person come yesterday? Is that why you had the early exit? Because I know you usually do home haircuts.
Oh yes, that was the reason. Although my man Josh, as great as he is, you can count on him being probably 20 minutes late. So even though I ran out the door, he told me he was going to be here right at 2:00. We didn't really get started till about 2:45. So I could have stayed around for the final concluding thoughts of Mike Mayo on Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, which I know the audience out there, they stick through the whole hour to hear, whatever your parting shot is going to be. But unfortunately, I was unable to stick around for that. But it turned out to be for no avail. But no, it's always great. And I got the guy some business. We do it out by one of the pools here at the Ocean Bay Club, and there were a couple of young ladies talking about they needed to find somebody to do some hair coloring, and so I introduced them to my guy, and now they're going to be doing business together. So it's great.
I've heard, back in the day, doctors made house calls. I've heard of
that was way back in the day.
Yeah, that was way back in the day.
You can't even find a doctor when you go to their place. What are you talking about?
Except if you have Medicare, and then all of a sudden they're sending limos for you. That must be nice.
You need a good supplement with that. Trust me.
I'm still about 6+ years away from the promised land, but God knows what's going to be there when I get.
Oh, wait a minute! I'm getting a text here. We're bombing North Korea. Why am I in this loop?
Yes.
I hate group tests. You know that. I never respond to any of them.
I was gonna say, I've been in my day and age, I've been in like some text chains with maybe like Debbie Wasserman Schultz but never, you know, never the current secretary. What a wild story that is.
It's just, I mean, it's
Isn't
not
that
even
wild? Actually,
the
that's
wildest. I mean, all of it is.
Did you read
I don't
Jeffrey
want to. I don't
Gold?
want to do political commentary here, but if
No,
you've
no.
ever seen a series of days that were more absurd one after the other than the previous one, that was a good one yesterday. That was a beautiful.
No, and Jeffrey Goldberg, longtime veteran, Washington D.C. journalist, wrote for the New Yorker for a long time. Has now been editor in chief of the Atlantic magazine. The Atlantic has really revived. I mean, a lot of great work they've done through the pandemic and all that. And it's just, like even he couldn't believe it. And he thought he was being pranked or set up or something like that. And then when everything jibed, he was like, oh my God, this is real. I better get out of here. And then the best part, I mean, I read his account in full. It was really wild. The fact that, he basically was in the group. Nobody realized he's in the group. He exits the group. Nobody asked any question of who is that guy who just left the group. And it turns out to be like a top.
Next thing you know, they'll be posting this stuff on Let's Eat South Florida. And people will be complaining. So how much can I tip?
Well, I've been known sometimes to post my plans of attack on which restaurants I'm going to be coming to. I mean, I mention it here on the show, like places that I might be going.
But that's in the past. I don't know if this has changed with the Ozempic, but in the past, that was strictly to get considerations from the owner. We know that. Lubie knows that.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
that was when I would send out the bat signal directly to them with my texts.
But
if I mention,
and by the way, it wouldn't be bad if I could try a couple of the appetizers. So
I've heard great things. I've heard great things about the.
I heard the veal chop is outstanding in your place.
yeah,
I'd like to try one.
I tried it this week and failed with he wasn't even there.
in that vein, I might be going to check out for the first time tonight our friend Kip Boatcamper's new Catch and Cut on Los Olas Boulevard. I haven't sent any texts yet. I haven't even made any reservations. I don't know. It's not set in stone. But I do hear
seems to be drawing rave reviews though. That place.
Stone crabs, and they also do a fried chicken dish that kind of like, because the chef came from Joe's Stone Crab, longtime chef at Joe's, left there. He's a Broward guy, less of a commute, and he's brought a couple of those Joe's Stone Crab touches, including a underpriced fried chicken. I think at Joe's it's $10 now. At Catch and Cut, I just was looking at their menu. They have an $18 fried chicken, which is pretty reasonable, all things considered. And but I haven't sent out the bat signal to Bo just yet.
You don't think he watches the beginning of every show?
No, I don't think he watches.
If his name is mentioned in some kind of context of begging for a freebie.
Yeah, but who does watch every show? And it's time for our daily Mayo Clinic health update. Except this time, upset special. It doesn't involve me. It involves our friend Andy, man. And you saw he was back in the hospital. But
he's out though, right?
He's out. He's
out. But you heard his latest thing. He's had all kinds of different conditions where he's had heart issues. He's had other things. But now for the first time, he got a diagnosis where his blood sugar level was off the charts. So he is now in the land of type 2 diabetes, which is a land I'm familiar with. And Andy, I hope I'm not giving up any kind of confidences, but he's basically said that when he was in the hospital, they took his blood sugar and it was 450, and anything over 100 is considered, not too good.
He doesn't need great he's that bad.
And I said, the A1C, I said, did they do your A1C? Because that's a 3-month average of your blood sugar, and it's supposed to be below 7 or below 6. And he said, yeah, his was like 15 or 14. And I was like, wow, that's like, that's heavy duty diabetic insulin. Like, you got to get shot up with insulin. But basically, he's now asking me for advice, which goes to show you, like, how serious trouble is your life in? Asking me for dietary advice.
I mean, he's going to be singing the same tune as you.
He's not
yeah, but he was just asking what kind of diet, And I was like, look, my A1C, thank goodness, it never really got.
Wait a minute. Andy was asking you about a diet?
Yes. He said they sent him home last night.
Why does that seem like the most absurd thing that's ever come up on the show?
It's about as absurd as Pete Hesgeth texting the war plans for Yemen.
You won't be able to stop.
The top editor-in-chief of the Atlantic magazine. before it
I
happened.
mean, you know how to eat healthy, so I guess it's just you've
Yeah,
learned how to follow
so
that.
okay, so he was discharged from the hospital yesterday. They said last night. He said his blood sugar level was 260 and his A1C was 12.7. And he says, I don't know what to eat. So he ordered from Bolé, which is a bowl place. I
I
told
like
him you got to just eat like basically lean meats, proteins, seafood, fish, things that are lower in fat, and
everything carbs.
obviously
You can't eat a ton of carbs because a lot of carbs
no
will store
bad
in your
carbs.
body.
You can eat fresh fruit. You can eat all the fresh
The green
vegetables that you
vegetables.
want. Fruit and vegetables, healthy eating. It's common sense. Don't eat highly processed foods.
And you
Don't
can't eat
eat
sugar.
Drake's, cakes. No ring dings or yodels. Obviously,
What
you want
about Publix buffalo chicken dip?
the buffalo chicken.
It's
I
heavy.
just had a spoonful. I have to say, I
Yeah,
mean, is it Delaware Chicken Farm? Probably not, but not bad. I have
no,
to
they're
say,
doing
not
it.
bad. Very tasty.
Yeah, no, anything that has that buffalo, like the Frank's hot sauce mixed together with some chicken, and I don't know if they use sour cream or mayo, but
Obviously, you
the
use a lot of cheese in that. That's the only
yeah,
issue with that.
the one that Gene makes at the Delaware, I'm
I'm
sorry. I mean,
obsessed with
I've had the one from Publix, and it's fine.
it. It's good.
But
Not
the
bad.
one that he bakes, I mean, the one that he makes in those little foil, pans, and then you just throw it in the oven, even just in a toaster oven for like 10 minutes, and it gets all brown on top. That cheese melts, and then you just stick in like whether it's a nacho chip or just a
No,
cracker.
I put a pitchfork right in this man. I plunged.
Well, that would be good, and that would be the diabetes keto friendly way is to not have it with any
You
chips
know,
or
that's not so bad.
no nachos, no crackers. Just go straight in with the pitchfork because that is pure
Well, what do you
protein.
think, though? This is a good question, actually, because of all of the medical discussions that we have here, largely based on your journey.
Yes.
But other people are involved. But what percentage of the people on Let's Eat South Florida would you say are incurring these kind of difficulties? Are the people that are on the group basically healthy? Is it a small percentage that actually can relate to any of this stuff? I mean, eventually, the Father Time's undefeated, as we saw with George Foreman. Eventually, some of this stuff catches up with everybody, no matter how careful you've been throughout your lifetime. What percentage, Mike Mayo, as an administrator of the group, would you say, or in your opinion, are actually in good health?
Ha!
That we're talking to.
Well, I think
Is it practically
you
knowing
could.
what we're trying to say?
He laughed.
I would extrapolate the numbers the same way that you look across the general population. So if there's almost like 193,000 people in the Let's Eat South Florida group, and if you just go by general stats, that in this country, I think it's like what 40% of people are considered obese,
Because that's the thing is
and
obese
and
Obese
and
is a very, I mean,
is
they
like 10
define
pounds
it
overweight. You're
very
obese.
broadly, do they not, Libby? I think you were going to say
They
the
call
same.
my wife obese, and my wife is freaking gorgeous. So,
all right.
and she's not overweight at all. Like, I'm probably considered a little obese because I'm like 170 and I should be 148.
Then
some-
let me give you some other stats. I think they said like 30% of the population is either pre-diabetic or diabetic, and that is measured
We're
by
all
blood sugar.
pre-diabetic. I mean, because you could get it any time, right?
No, there is certain
That's
standards where if
so-
your blood sugar level, when you measure it on a fasting, blood test in the morning, if your blood sugar level is above 100, if it's 100 to 110, 115, that's considered pre-diabetes. If it's over 120, you're diabetic. Same thing with the A1C. If it's between 5.5 and 6.5, that's considered pre-diabetic as opposed to full-blown diabetes, and I was in the land of pre-diabetes, and yeah, you could say everybody is but really, by going by these metrics, everybody is not pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, I'm going to say, a bunch of people in the group.
50%, would you say, are healthy?
It's impossible for me to venture a guess, but I would say it's like
Can
the
we
general
not have
population.
people submit that on Let's Eat South Florida?
Well, I'm not going to start getting into, we want to kind
I
of.
mean, look, if Elon Musk could look at your tax returns and your health data, why can't Mike Mayo? I mean,
No,
by the way,
well, I've
I just
already,
got a
as
piece of
Andy
news.
Peters
I got
has
a piece
found.
of restaurant news for you.
Yeah, as Andrew Peters has found out, I could totally divulge his complete
Yeah, exactly.
One of our
A1C history. And speaking of other people, I heard from Joanne yesterday, and she sent me a very nice email and was kind of apologetic about some things, but she explained why her she doesn't really have an issue with the show. She says she's been watching the show usually later on on YouTube later on at night, not live. That's why she doesn't chime in on the chat line, but that she's bothered by the way I used to eat. And she's happy to hear that I'm making better choices because she has some family history and some family things that have happened to her. She lost her husband at a very young age to a heart attack. She lost her son. Well, no, her son is actually, I think, also was having some health issues, but now is on Ozempic and has lost 100 pounds on Ozempic. So, yeah, to answer your question, even though we like to pretend that food and the calories exist in a vacuum, there are health consequences. And as you get older, you become more mindful of it. And look, I still love going out to eat. I still love my food. As anybody who can, follow me on social media knows, I love eating and I love writing about food and I love going out to eat. But it's just, you can't do it as much
You don't
as
have
you.
to eat with a shovel. I mean, Lubie would be the first guy to admit that. I have a piece of restaurant news, though, I wanted to get in here.
Yeah, go for it.
Is, all right. The Fish Shack, which is one of my favorite places.
we
Not
love.
the Even Keel Fish Shack, which is also one of my favorite places, but
Freedom for sure.
they're a distance apart there. Getting the Clean Plate Award. They've never had a
Nice.
violation.
Oh, good.
Oh wow!
Great job. I mean, they do a great job there. And
do them.
if you saw their previous location, it would have been even more remarkable to believe that they could have avoided even having a single bug in the place. But they're doing a terrific job. Mike is gone, though, and it was taken over by, as you've mentioned a few times, the Calypso people. I've been there, and they're still doing a terrific job knocking them dead. And apparently, Wine Seer is going to roll in there sometime today, or already did, and present them with that plaque, which scares everyone to death when he shows up. People see that Channel 10 satellite truck.
Oh,
pull
yeah,
up,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like,
yeah.
they closed the place like immediately. Pull the curtains. Okay, everybody out. It's almost like one of those ICE vehicles pulled up, and but they're getting the Clean Plate Award. So
Well, you know who's a regular recipient of 0 violations? And I don't know if Weinzier's ever showed up there with the Clean Plate Award.
he's
for
not
him.
inclined to do the good stuff.
No, he's actually balanced it out because he took a lot of flack. So he actually does Clean Plate Charlie's now, not as much as the Dirty Dining, which is a weekly feature or sometimes twice a week.
Clean
but he
Plate
does
is like biannually.
But he does, yeah, he does the Clean Plate, I think, once a month, as does
Should we
my
do something like that here? I mean, Mayo Man, why don't you launch one of
We
these
should
campaigns?
do
Never mind the
something.
Dirty Dining, but like the a recipient
Every
of,
week.
the award of the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Award of Excellence.
Well,
It's not the worst
we
thing.
can
Especially
do
if you
that.
find it. Yeah.
All right, the first one I'm going to award it to is a guy who gets clean plate. I mean, who gets 0 violations regularly, repeatedly. Our friend Joey at Cafe Seville.
Hey, Seville, nice job.
And he runs a clean ship. Now, I'm going to just give a couple of things for people to consider. These health inspectors usually they work banker's hours. They're out between, usually 10 a.m. and about 5 p.m. So for restaurants that only do dinner service and are not in service lunchtime, it is much easier for them to achieve both the Clean Plate Charlie Award and a 0 violation, and not to get dinged on any major things, because if an inspector is showing up at noon and you don't offer lunch service and the kitchen isn't in action and things aren't flying all over the place and you don't leave a ladle in the wrong place or you put it on a cutting board, which these things get written up all the time, and if you're not in service and you don't have open food and plates in the middle of a dining room, or the bar is not in service, you're not going to have fruit flies running around. So it is easier. It's kind of an unlevel playing field in that dinner only establishments kind of have an easier time with it when it comes to health inspections. And my overall thing, look, I've had issues in my own home, whether it was in Dania or the new home here in Fort Lauderdale. Like just a couple of weeks ago, there was a live roach running around my foot at the dining room table here, and it freaked me out. But bugs happen, especially when you have rainfall in Florida. Bugs come in and out. So I'm willing to forgive bugs at different restaurants, and some of our sponsors over the years have gotten dinged by health inspectors and temporarily closed. What really, I guess, is frustrating to both restaurateurs and other people is the inconsistency. Some places have live roaches found in Miami and they don't get shut. But it seems like the inspectors here in Broward, if they see a live roach, they're going to shut you down. So there's inconsistency among the inspectors. I'm not going to make any allegations that maybe the ones in Miami are, finding more $100 bills at their feet.
Ah,
But
it's not shocking.
there was just recently a case of some inspectors getting caught in a bribery scheme. So
Shouldn't there be a little bit of a grace sort of thing where if some violations are found, instead of immediately broadcasting that all over the place, give the person a chance to correct it, and if they do it like they do in one day for the most part,
well, that's what they do.
they report it. It's kind of like some athlete is accused of sexual assault allegations or whatever, and then they're completely absolved of it. But the retraction of the allegations is in the agatype underneath the British soccer scores,
Yes.
and yet the original allegations made headlines. And
but
that's kinda how it is with this.
Yeah, but nearly all of the times when Weinzier shows up or it gets printed up
Already
in the
back.
Sun
Weinzier
Sentinel,
shows
they're
up.
already
They're already back.
they're already reopened. They've already been cleared and
exactly.
re-inspected. So the bottom line is the place has been cleaned up. Look, I understand people. We all have choices to make. If you get skeeved out by a certain thing and you don't want to go
Look,
back
no
to a
one's
place,
deal with bugs. Don't
that-
get me wrong, but
that's
like finding a roach, they don't always say exactly where. So if it's in the bathroom, what does that have to do with the food? And again, one roach, that's
They-
impressive actually to me. If they found
they
one
do
in-
say where it is. A lot of times it's in the storage areas, the dry storage areas. It comes in on a box. Sometimes look, if you see 20 roaches running up and down, but
that's
a lot
a
of
lot.
time they're hidden in a corner, but they're going on the back wall behind the stove. Look, that's a little bit of an issue. Obviously, you want to be proactive and make sure you have good pest control services, and they should be coming for a restaurant more than once a month like at a home. They should be coming once a week.
Yeah,
And you got to stay on top of these things. I know some people that are our sponsors that that it happens, they say, I got to be more proactive. We now have gone to a new pest control service. We have gone to once a week treatments, all these things. And as long as they take ownership of it, look, in my world, I say bugs happen. Look, I still eat in my own kitchen, and I've seen bugs in my own kitchens all through the years. Rodents shouldn't. If you start to see rodent droppings, you got to really be proactive. And if you have rodent droppings and an inspector sees that, well, shame on you, because that should be all cleaned up, and you should actually have, serious serious pest control extermination coming out to look at all the walls. Now, some of these restaurants are in older buildings, and it comes in from vacant premises. I forgive bugs. Rodents, I'm not as forgiving of. And the thing is, the way you handle your food. Like, if I get sick after going to a restaurant and I have a pretty good suspicion it was because they were serving me old food, or they mishandled the food, or didn't refrigerate it properly, that to me is number one on my list. I'm not going back to a place that makes me sick. And but everybody has their own personal checklists, and we go from there. We make our own decisions. And I've been around the business a lot. I've seen what some of these operators have to go through, and there are good operators and bad operators. If you're thawing meat out in the back alley using a garden hose in a paint bucket, which is one of the things that Jeff Weinzier found at a local Chinese restaurant, thank God, well, not one that I go to anymore, but that's a place I'm not going to go to. They just that skews me out. But if a place gets dinged because there's a couple of roaches that came in on a box and it was crawling around in the kitchen, as long as the food is good and reasonable, I'm willing to give it another chance. So that's all I want to say about that. All right, let's do our first break. It is a Casa D'Angelo Tuesday. We love Casa D'Angelo. That's a place I imagine has won a bunch of clean plate awards for all three of their locations, because Angelo, Ilya, fastidious, and all of his people, they are top notch in terms of staying on top of everything, whether it's the quality of the food, the service, the wine. It's all there. You want to go to Casa D'Angelo if you're going to have guests coming in from out of town. And they have 3 locations: Aventura right near Gulfstream Park, the flagship in Fort Lauderdale, 1201 North Federal Highway, and the Boca Raton location on Palmetto Park Road, where our friend Chef Ricky works. They are going to be having a wine dinner coming up in late April, right after Easter, I think on that Tuesday and Wednesday. And this is an interesting one, a wine dinner with a couple of our sports friends, Dan Marino and Damon Eward. Now, Damon Eward, apparently, I think he has started his own winery. I don't know if Marino is an investor, but it's in Washington State. And Washington State is the new hotspot for really top-notch wines. They're going to be having a wine dinner at both the Fort Lauderdale flagship and the Aventura location in late April. For all the details and for reservations, go online to casa-d-angelo.com. And when you go in there, tell them the Lunchbox sent you. All right, let's take our first break, and we'll come back with more on this home edition of the Lunchbox.
Hey, Lunchbox fans, is it time to sell your business? You've poured your heart and soul into your restaurant or business, and you want to see continue the legacy you have built. Transworld can help. Call me, Andy Cagnetta, at Transworld Business Advisors right now and see if it's time for you to retire and relax. Iconic brands like the Mai Kai, Mulligans, Carlos and Pepe's, Mangoes, and many more turn to Transworld to help sell. Contact Transworld on Facebook or call 954-772-1122 or visit tworld.com. Again, that's 954-772-1122 or tworld.com.
When I'm looking for some wicked good food for a wicked good lunch, there's only one place to go. That's Wicked Cheesesteaks in Fort Lauderdale. It's at 4824 North Federal Highway, just south of Commercial Boulevard and across from Holy Cross Hospital. My friend Brian there, he will hook you up with some really tasty treats. They've got cheesesteaks, just like the best you can find in Philly, along with lobster rolls, because that's where he's from, Maine originally. And they have wings and pizza and everything you want to have a really good time. Wicked Cheesesteaks. They're open every day but Tuesday. Check them out online, wickedcheesesteaks.com. Tell them the Lunchbox sent you. If you're looking for a great place for steaks, seafood, and more, go to Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of I-95 and the airport. They've been there a long time, since 1949. That means they're doing something right. You'll get old school hospitality from the Studiali family, along with great value, tremendous service. Of course, you could also go into the bar for happy hour every day, 4 to 6, and they have great value all night long. Also, a butcher shop that's open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Sunday. The dining room is open every day at 4:30 except Sunday. Go to Tropical Acres. Tell them the. When people ask me about the best restaurants in South Florida, Casa D'Angelo is always at the top of my list. First-class dining, top-flight service, elegant atmosphere, and chef-founder Angelo Ilia is legendary. The flagship in Fort Lauderdale has been serving the finest Italian cuisine since 1997, with other locations in Boca Raton and Aventura. As Angelo himself says, they have an unwavering commitment to unparalleled quality with meticulous attention to details. It's so good, with house-made pastas, pristine seafood, unique meats like elk chops and bison, and seasonal specialties including fragrant fresh truffles from Italy. All locations open 7 days for dinner. Reservations recommended. For a special occasion or any occasion, Casa D'Angelo. Tell them Mike Mayo sent you. Delicious Mexican food with innovative twists. Margaritas with a medley of tongue-tingling flavors. I'm talking about Taco Craft, Taqueria, and Tequila Bar. The place to go on Taco Tuesday and every day. It's located at 510 North Federal and Highway in Fort Lauderdale, and also in Lauderdale by the Sea at Plantation Walk and Coral Springs. Taco Craft has specials every day, including bottomless drinks for a Sunday brunch and Taco Tuesdays with their $4 premium tacos, including their new birria tacos with bone marrow broth. Oh, it's so good. They've even made a taco lover out of me, and they've got so much more, including fajitas, that open-faced smashed cheeseburger tortilla that's new, and a guacamole sample that's an explosion of flavors. The kitchen is open late. There's delivery and takeout. For more information, go to tacocraft.com. Tell them Mike Mayo, the Lunchbox, sent you. Hey, it's Mayo for Gilbert's 17th Street Grill. You know me, I love family-run places with quality food at fair prices served with passion and pride. And that's why I love Gilbert's. For more than a decade, Lenore, Beth, and Richie Gilbert have been serving up the best burgers, wings, ribs, salads, and desserts. It's a fast casual spot. Everything prepared fresh to order from an immaculate open kitchen. They're at 1821 Cordova Road in Fort Lauderdale in the Cordova Shops just south of 17th Street. Open every day but Sunday. One of my favorite burgers in South Florida. Big, round, juicy pucks of 100% Angus beef, char grilled to perfection. And don't miss the sweet potato fries on the side. They're legendary. Go to Gilbert's, feast, and be happy. Tell them the lunch. All right, we're back on the lunchbox. It's an early edition because we've got to get Lubie out of here. He's got some very important business to attend to. Me, I've got nothing to attend to except figuring out dinner plans. Yeah, I guess it might be time. It's 2 months in. And again, I always like to give new restaurants at least a month and maybe even 2 months to find their groove before going in there and checking it out for the first time, unless I've been invited to a friends and family preview dinner, in which case it's a trade-off. I know I'm going to be getting a restaurant that's a work in progress. And and if they're open to hearing feedback, and me and you did one of these friends and family. Yes, okay. Do we get free food? Yes, we don't get charged for the food, but do we still get a nice bottle of wine or some cocktails, which we pay for? Yes. And then do we leave overly generous tips? Yes. That's how I roll. I hate when people come on the Let's Eat group and insinuate that I'm only in it like I'm some schnorrer just in it for freebies. Nothing could. Well, you know what? I protest too much. I'm in it for freebies sometimes.
Well, but you are. But but it's funny because we definitely are. When you go to these things, we've now done it a couple times with Val, Shirley, and me, and we'll just watch you. Like you actually do, whether it's the people giving you crap or the reporter in you. You take it very like when we were leaving, you like stayed to make sure you talked to Eddie and Paul and gave them like line item. It went really well, but whether it's good or bad, like I will vouch. I'm telling you, yes. When I go, I want the food. I'm not even gonna lie. My wife, we're enjoying it. Even Val, Mayo's like he like dissects it. He takes mental notes. He's taking pictures. He's futzing around. Like no, he always gives feedback at the end, even good. Like
yeah, I'll say what's working and what's not working, and that's called like being a food consultant. But I do it, in exchange for a meal.
As much as Defo and I mock you, the restaurateurs, you see them, like they stop everything. Like they look like a little kid. It's almost like wine seer. Like, what is he gonna say? Oh God, what is he gonna say?
Yeah.
Like they listen and they duly noted. And whenever we're there the next time, they've taken into account. No, he's not the schnorrer that we painted him out to be. It's like Defo's not the gambler that we painted him out to be. Like it's a lot of it is you exaggerate the crap out of it because it's fun. Like the reality is you take it serious and people believe the crap you say. Like I've witnessed this.
Oh, speaking of gambling, so that triggers a couple things. First of all, I watched I don't know if you guys watched the John Oliver show on HBO Max last week tonight. He does a deep dive on a topic every week. And his last live show a couple of weeks ago, his deep dive was on sports gambling. And just because it was heading into the NCAA tournament time and how many, problem gamblers there are in the, and then these young men and having this access to these betting apps on their phone and they're just doing parlay after parlay and they're going broke. But I realized something, Defo, which is it's probably a very good thing that you haven't loaded any of these betting apps or horse racing apps on your phone. Because let me tell you, I got clobbered last Saturday. I've had a couple of good stretches and, I didn't give it all back on Saturday, but you get into this tailspin. It's like, oh, I'm so frustrated. I just got, split. They didn't take this horse down at freaking Oaklawn that they should have. It would have, whatever. All the gamblers laments. And it's like, all right, let me put another 100 in. Let me put another 200 in. Next thing you know, you're in for a full dime. And it's like, yeah, that's the dangerous part of having the betting app on your phone. So, admirable discipline and restraint on your part, Jeff Defo DeForest. That's it. He'll take the bow. Speaking of congratulations and admirable, this is a time where we want to kind of give a congrats and a hearty mazel tov to a chef friend of ours, friend of the Lunchbox Show. He's been on, and he's also totally in love with the game of thoroughbred racing. He said he would be a thoroughbred trainer if he wasn't a chef and budding restaurateur. We're talking about Raheem Seeley, not talking about Bobby Flay, who was also like major league into horse racing, but Raheem Seeley, who we knew from J&C Oyster. But there he is in the winner's circle holding his young daughter. He's gotten involved in the racing game. He's claimed like 4 or 5 different horses, and some of them have run like second and third at big odds. But Raheem Seeley, he's paired up with this trainer, Frank Regulato. I really don't know that trainer. I don't know what the backstory is, but Raheem has basically claimed 4 or 5 horses, and this one, Blaze of Color?
Blaze of
Yeah,
color.
he went off as one of the favorites in that race last Saturday. It was in the third race, 7-5 favorite. Look at that. So, congrats to him, and he's all over the place now too because besides in being involved with J&C Oyster in Hollywood, where he kind of created the menu, and he's not there day to day because he's gotten back involved with KYU restaurant down in Miami. They have like 4 different restaurants around the world, including Mexico City and New York. He's been named a like executive global chef for all the Q restaurants. He also has his Drinking Pig barbecue concept that he started during the pandemic that he's opened up like locations in Cleveland and Chicago. And I think one of his backers is Jimmy Butler. And he also is getting ready to open a whole brand new restaurant down in Wynwood this week called Shiso, which is also like a Asian grill theme restaurant similar to Q. But Shiso is opening up this week. I'm looking forward to maybe getting in there at some point. But it was beautiful. It's good to see him having so much success, and he's involved with all the food and all the horses. And congrats to Raheem. So
I hope we get him on again because how do these guys do all of that? Like everything you just said would be a full-time job.
Yeah, I can't even hardly,
because he's now doing a ton of horses and he really gets into it. And he said point blank, that would be my dream is to get out of the food game, which he's highly respected, and do horses. So the fact that he has found time to do the horses, I think is super cool. But like, so the Q thing would be a big deal. Okay. He's now doing horses. He still does peek into J&C because they are of the highest quality and his name's attached. And now he's starting a new, and then the drinking pig, which is opening up, and he's a big part of that. So how do you open another? Like, how do they? It just always boggles my mind how these guys do all that stuff. Like women, men, like how they do it. Like I just don't understand.
They have a hell of a lot better time management than I do. That's for sure. Because I could hardly, just brush and floss and take a walk and do a show in a given day. But no, more power to him. I guess he's young and ambitious, so that's all good. And hey, talking about horses, big week ahead with the Florida Derby, and we're going to be out there on Friday. Are you looking forward? Have you scoped out any the PPs? I don't know if they're out yet for the Florida Derby, or they drawn the post positions. Are you on top or aware of any of these things, Defo?
I haven't really looked into it yet. Okay. Big day though, a great day out there at Gulfstream Park. Always a pleasure to be involved in Florida Derby festivities, and I would imagine just like we saw with the Fountain of Youth and the Pegasus, the Friday before is always a very interesting day and filled with a lot of people and a lot of excitement. It's great to be part of the crowd.
Yeah, and I haven't checked online again or with Joe B whether there are still tickets available for the taste at the track that they're going to be holding on the 3rd floor on Florida Derby Day, starting at 12, going till about 4 o'clock with the food and wine. But you can stay up there until, I guess, the race itself is probably the last race on the card. Usually the Florida Derby goes off at about close to 6 o'clock. I'm in a quandary because like Val's sister loves the races. She's involved with myracehorse.com, has a share of a couple of horses, wants to go out to Florida Derby Day. But Val also got us tickets. There's an annual literary fest event where there's like a cocktail hour at a hotel in Fort Lauderdale, and then you get paired up with an author and you go to a restaurant, and it's kind of like an intimate dinner setting with an author. It's very kind of high-minded stuff. It's very intimidating for me, a failed writer who, is being around all these, accomplished authors and things like that. But I don't know whether to go to the track earlier in the day with her sister. I don't want to have to ask Joe for any tickets, so I was going to go online and actually buy some tickets to the Taste at the Track. I think it's what, like $175, $195 for the VIP. It's really worth the money.
I just looked online. There's still tickets. I think it was 145 for standard. I can look again.
Okay,
And the
145.
VIP was 195, as you're
All
just
right.
saying.
Maybe because I hate asking on big days for anything. So maybe I'll buy the general admission tickets and see if like I could slip in a little early, or I don't even know if I want to be. I don't like big crowds and big race days. I much prefer going to something like our the brunch bash that we're holding on a much more mellow day, Sunday, April 6th, when there will be live racing at Gulfstream. There'll be simulcast racing from Keeneland. You can just kind of, have your run of the whole place, and there's not big lines, and not a big crowd to place a bet and things like that. So I'm a guy that's, I've grown averse to big event days and big crowds. So, but whatever you choose, there's really no going wrong. I don't know what I should choose though. You're not going, right, Lubie, because of,
I may go. It depends. We'll see what Joe B says. Shirley has a new interest in going for whatever reason. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't want to hit, look, it's a big day for Joe.
I know. I try to stay away from the big days, but he made it seem like he was open to it. So I don't know. I'm not going to snore, obviously, but we'll see what he says Friday.
He needs to maximize his revenue because
100%.
We love Joe B. Hey, speaking of maximizing revenue, we got to take our next break. And before we do, let's talk about Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market. They are also home of quality and value. And with the tournament games getting in full gear again this weekend and the next weekend, if you're going to be having any home entertainment, any parties, any cookouts, Delaware is the place to pick up whatever you need, whether it's fresh seafood, stone crabs, that buffalo chicken dip, some steaks and sausages to throw on the grill. You could get it all right there. 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood. They're open 7 days. They also have a website, DelawareChicken.com, where you could sign up for their weekly newsletter. Stay abreast of all their specials and other deals. And again, with the spring holidays coming up, Passover starts April 12th on a Saturday night, and then you've got Easter Sunday on April 20th. Get everything you need for both those holidays at Delaware. Go in there. They're the home of freshness. Say hi to Jose or Jean and tell them the Lunchbox sent you. All right, let's take that second break, and then we'll come back with more on this edition of the Lunchbox. Southern comfort food from a scratch kitchen, delicious drinks and house-made spirits from a craft bar, a great vibe inside and out with a spacious patio. I'm talking about Batch New Southern Kitchen and Tap, Fort Lauderdale, in the heart of the city at 525 North Federal Highway. It's open 7 days for lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch with classics like fried chicken and waffles and shrimp and grits, and creative items like pecan-crusted salmon and a fried green tomato BLT. And the drinks? Smooth sipping and so good. There's convenient free parking and a garage next door, happy hour at the bar, an entire patio, 4 to 7 Monday to Friday, and live music every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's pet and people friendly and with cozy fire pits for when the temperature dips. For reservations and more information, go to batchsouthernkitchen.com. If you like seafood in a comfortable setting, outdoors, even keel fish shack at the corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard in Lauderdale by the Sea, and also now with a new location on Las Olas Boulevard. Those are my spots. Upscale food in a down-home setting. The chef owners, Dave and Brad, do a terrific job with all the seafood classics that you want. They have the best grilled oysters in town, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, and deli fish specials. They also have weekend brunch Saturday and Sunday. They have deli happy hour 4 to 7, and they also have other weekly specials like mussels on Monday and oysters on Tuesday. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack and tell them that the Lunchbox sent you. If you want great Italian food in a beautiful beachfront setting, have I got the place for you. Casa Calabria at the Ocean Manor Resort, 4040 Galt Ocean Drive in Fort Lauderdale. Highly rated across all the restaurant review platforms and totally Mike Mayo's Lunchbox approved. Delicious, authentic Southern Italian food in a cozy dining room overlooking the Atlantic. Live music in the lounge, full bar, and a great wine list. Owner Frank Talrico takes great pride in his family recipes from his native Calabria. Fresh fish and seafood, veal, house-made pastas, and marinara sauces smooth as silk. You gotta try the imported meats and cheeses on the antipasta platters, and don't miss that ricotta gnocchi, fluffy little pillows straight from heaven. Casa Calabria, open for dinner Tuesday through Sunday, closed on Mondays. Tell them. Fresh local fish, a sophisticated setting. I'm talking about Corvina Seafood Grill. It's at 110 Plaza Real South in Boca Raton, just south of Palmetto Park Road. It's the place to go for the freshest and local seafood and fish, some of it with a Peruvian twist like their great ceviches. It's open 7 days for dinner. They also have happy hours 7 days a week. You don't want to miss it. It's a great place. CorvinaBocaRaton.com for more information and reservations. Tell them the lunch. All right, we're back on the lunchbox, and let's see. Defo, you missed part of the conversation yesterday. We alluded to it last week on the group. I posted an article from the New York Times that was wondering. I love these Times trend pieces. Like they talk to three people, and all of a sudden that's a trend. But they're saying that in New York City restaurants, there are less people that are taking home doggy bags and leftovers. And the headline of the story was, "Is the doggy bag dead?" or something like that. And I said, not if they look at Lubie in our world every day. We are you a leftover doggy bag guy when you go out, let's say at night, if you go to Seville or something, or do you usually just kind of order appropriately and finish everything on your plate?
1,000%. If there's anything left, I'm taking it.
Yeah. And
actually, I used to look forward. We used to call it leftover Seville.
Yeah.
And you don't want to microwave this stuff. You want to actually take the time. Now that you have air fryers, it's a lot easier. You want to actually bake the stuff. But no, anywhere I go, I mean, I don't plan on eating the whole thing when I go to most restaurants. So I'm thinking already I'm going to eat half of it here and half of it when I get home, and it might even last a few days.
Yeah. It's and
I don't see any reason to leave it. I don't know. Why would that even be a debatable issue, especially now in today's world?
I don't know. I guess some people are like so.
I take it when I'm out of town, even though I don't have a refrigerator.
That's
eating it out and eating it the next morning.
The only thing I would say is that if you are like on the road and or in New York, that people a lot of times they go to the theater or someplace that they're not going straight home. And
that would make a difference. I understand that.
But like I'm not going to take the sushi home if I'm going to a Broadway show first because I'll probably just
those are special circumstances. But if you were just asking a general question, if you're ordering in a restaurant and you don't finish the meal, are you taking the rest of it home? The answer is 1,000% yes for me.
Yeah, and I consider to me, even when we go do these lunchbox shows, I don't want to have any food wasted. I want to box it up and
Yeah, but you got to beat Louie to the box.
Well, no, that never happens. But I'm happy to keep the Lubie household well stocked and well nourished for the week. Because it's insulting to a chef if you just leave a half-eaten plate. I said this yesterday. It's kind of like an insult. Like, your food is take it or leave it. I'd rather take it because if it's great, or I don't want to see any food waste. And why waste it? And a lot of times, like you said, it does taste better the next day. So,
look, and again, when I was growing up, you always heard about the clean plate club, and a lot of you guys grew up in an era where you had to finish your plate, eat your plate, finish your plate. But the thing is, at least in our country these days, the portions are, and I appreciate the portions, but the portions are a decent size. So like if you sat there trying to finish every plate, you'd be 300 pounds. And like, to me, that's why I started years ago. I started this in high school, and everyone makes fun of me. It's not about the to-go box. I don't care about the leftovers. I take them because I hate wasting food, but I don't like being full. I don't like feeling full, and I like controlling my weight. And the only way you can do that is to eat half of meals. If you sit there and finish meals, you're going to have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and you're going to be massively overweight. So to me, like, to not take so what are you doing? You're just throwing away half of a plate of food? Like, that makes zero sense to me. And in a world that's full of people who are hungry, like, I just think it's dumb to not take the.
Don Jaffe keeps taking shots. He says, "Lubie, you take your leftovers and you sell it on the Too Good to Go app." That
Is that a
one that
thing?
it is. It's actually a thing that's
You go
caused a
buy
bit
other
of.
people's food.
No. What happens is restaurants, especially bakeries and bagel shops, like at the end of the day, a lot of times they just donate unsold baked goods and things like that. But now there's this app, it's called Too Good to Go, that a lot of people on Let's Eat started talking about it last year when they first came out. And it's basically like it's a mystery grab bag, but like you go on the app, you see a place and you say, yes, I'll pick up at 4 p.m. And it's like they usually charge $5 or $6, and then you get a
Except that's
whole
left.
goodie bag of donuts and cupcakes or bagels
It's
or
not like
whatnot.
bitten into or
No. It's not like it's not left over from the lunchbox. That's another reason why we should take our leftovers. We don't want any establishments just kind of selling them off later in the day. But hey, one other kind of newsy note. Was talking about Burt Rappaport. I ran into him the other week at that really good restaurant, Oceano Kitchen, up in Lake Worth, that just recently moved, and he was there with his wife and some friends. But he told me, and I also heard this from other sources, that he's now become involved with Jackson's Ice Cream Parlor.
really.
We know Linda Zackheim.
But in the Dania Beach, Hollywood.
The one in Dania, even though Bert is based up in Boca Raton, and he's actually been kind of shedding some of his restaurants. He sold Max's Grill in Boca Raton to a group, I think, that owns Calou's, I think it is. I don't know if they've rebranded Max's Grill yet. But he also, I think, is let Eddie Pozzoli is kind of taken over running the show at Prezzo. Bert still has Bert and Max's, where our friend Buddha is, but even when you think he's unwinding, apparently he's gotten involved with Jackson's Ice Cream Parlor, which has been around since the late 50s. Monroe Udell founded it, and his daughter Linda runs it now. Now, Linda, last year, they lost their longtime general manager and their kitchen manager, both retired, and they brought in this other management group from Fort Lauderdale. I think the ones that run the Federal, Nalhart. I'm not sure what happened, but I guess they parted ways, and now Burt Rappaport's group is going to be in there, and I think also handling some of the management duties. And I don't know how much of day-to-day he's going to be involved, but it was definitely an interesting talk about two icons coming together, Jackson's Ice Cream Parlor and Burt Rappaport. So we will be finding out more information, and hopefully we're going to get back in and start doing some shows again at Deck 84 and Burt and Max's. Those are the places that Rappaport's restaurant group still own and operate. So all good stuff there. All right, let's take our third and final break, because Lubie, I know you've got to get out of there. I don't know. I wish I had somebody coming over to my house to cut my hair. I didn't know that was a thing. I love that. The mobile haircut. I've heard that for dogs and pets, like the dog shampoo and pet.
This was a pet groomer. The only way you can get that done. No, I just a guy that I met a long time ago, and he left the shop that I was going to, which I didn't really care for anyway. And he started coming and doing it at my place wherever I was living.
Nice.
So I like what he does, so I stayed with it.
I'm trying to think
of
things.
Very generous tipper for that service also.
I'm sure you are.
I don't calculate the 15% like a lot of people.
No, I would assume something along the lines of like 35 to 50%.
And even do percent when it's like that.
I actually give him more than 100% of what he.
Wow, you double the fee. Wow,
yeah.
You are.
I mean, you schlep it all the way from
that's good.
Different locations.
Hey, all right. Time for the final break. Before, let's remind everybody, today's a Tuesday. That's a half-price wine night at Tropical Acres. We love Tropical Acres because it is not only the home of great steaks and great hospitality, but such tremendous value. You cannot do any better than, let's say, you go in at 4:30 into the bar for happy hour. You order yourself a Belvedere Martini. I've seen Belvedere Martinis going for $25, $30 now. $8 for your Belvedere Martini. You have one of those. Maybe you get a little light bite, the escargot, which is on their happy hour light bite menu in the bar. Sliders for like $6 or $7. You could get two things there that will fill me up these days for less than $20. But then you could go into the dining room, and on a Tuesday night, Monday and Tuesday, half price wine night, get a great quality bottle of wine to go along with your steak, your prime rib, your seafood dish. They got it all there. And you can't beat the value. You get a beautiful $50 bottle of wine for $25 on a Tuesday. I mean, that is very impressive, no matter whether with your wife or with a first time date. We love Tropical Acres. And don't forget, two big Sunday holidays coming up. They're usually closed on Sundays, but they are going to be open for Easter Sunday, April 20th, and Mother's Day, May 11th. You only can get a reservation by calling them at 954-989-2500. The reservations book is filling up fast for both of those holidays, so give them a call today and tell them the Lunchbox sent you. All right, let's take that final break, and then we'll get Lubie out of here on time for his very important medical exam. Bye. For the finest poultry and the freshest fish, Delaware Chicken Farm and Seafood Market, located at 4191 North State Road 7 in Hollywood, open 7 days. Since 1951, a South Florida tradition for stone crab in season, Thanksgiving turkeys, holiday feasts, and everyday eating. Great steaks, house-made sausage, and prepared foods, too. Delaware is not just a market, it's a celebration of taste, quality, and old-fashioned customer service with a smile. Sign up for their weekly email flyer at DelawareChicken.com and tell them Mike Mayo and the Lunchbox sent you. When the Brooklyn boy in me wants a great bagel with lox, matzo ball soup, deli sandwich, and rugelach, you know where I go? Grandpa's Restaurant in Dania Beach. It's a South Florida institution since 1957 that was revamped a few years back by a pair of New York bagel baking legends. Full deli and appetizing case with spreads, salads, and platters for takeout and catering. Grandpa's is near Federal Highway, just north of Sterling Road, open 7 days for breakfast and lunch. Go eat and enjoy. It's Mike Mayo's Lunchbox approved. For the finest and authentic Greek cuisine, Taverna Kima is the place to go. 6298 North Federal Highway in Boca Raton. It's been around for nearly 2 decades. Every day is a feast with grilled lamb and fish, house-made spinach pie and moussaka, gyros, traditional dips, mezes, with soft, warm pita. It's open 7 days for lunch and dinner with happy hour daily from 3 to 6 p.m., indoor, outdoor, private dining. So celebrate life at Taverna Kima. For reservations and information, go to Taverna. Looking for great seafood that's a little further inland? Luke's Seafood and Grill. That's Luke's with a C. 5511 South University Drive in Davie. Luke and Roxy, they're a great couple with great food. It's a mom and pop shop bringing the freshest fish and seafood to Western Broward. Some of the best jambalaya and fish cakes around. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? You can find his famous Scoobies, those sauteed crab claws, right there on the specials board most days. Oh, so good. So take a trip to University just north of Sterling today. Lunch, dinner, closed on Mondays. Tell them Mike Mayo's Lunchbox sent you. When people come to me and say, Mike, where should I go out to eat? I got guests coming from out of town. Where should we go? Cafe Seville. That's the answer. 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. It's a Fort Lauderdale perennial, serving the finest in Spanish and continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly, comfortable setting. Joey Esposito and Sally, his better half, they've been running the place for a long time. It's been open since the 1980s. They got great Spanish classics like paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, and all kinds of great seafood dishes. The stuffed veal chop, oh, that's my favorite. Go to Cafe Seville. It's open every day but Sunday at 5 p.m. for dinner. Tell them that the Lunchbox Mayo and Defo sent you. Feel like getting away without leaving town? Then you got to check out the House on the River in Fort Lauderdale. It's a beautiful restored historic home with indoor and outdoor dining right on the New River. You'll think you're in Charleston or Savannah. It has a gorgeous patio, porches, and private dining areas, and it offers unique experiences perfect for a date night or fun times with friends and family. It has weekend brunches, happy hour, dinner Wednesday through Sunday. There's also a high tea on Friday and Saturdays, and the popular House of Veuve Champagne experience on weekends. The House on the River is in Fort Lauderdale's Himmershey District, just south of Science Museum. For reservations and information, go to the House on. All right, we're back on the Lunchbox, and we've gotten to Defoe's favorite part of the show. No, not the end. The part where I eat an egg, which is my new lunch. They're so good. I've started keeping a food diary, by the way. Have you ever done this where you just start recording everything that you eat, kind of like Bob Graham used to do with everything he did every day?
There was this app where you could put stuff in and it would tell you calories. And I did that for a little bit. and I found I didn't lose weight like I gained. It felt like I was too worried about my food to the point where it actually messed it up. So I did that for like a couple weeks years ago.
There was a time where my food diary would be maybe longer than War and Peace, but
Yeah,
nowadays
exactly.
it's good. Yesterday it was only 1,000 calories, and I'm not going to bore everybody with the details. But today, after my walk, I had some yogurt with fruit. Now here we are, 1 o'clock. I'm having my boiled egg, and that's going to do it for much to everybody's happiness. All right, Lubie, you be well. Tomorrow we're doing a double header.
Very
Luke's
busy day, a late
Seafood,
busy day.
2:30 at Luke's Seafood and Grill in Davie on University Drive. Come on out, have some jambalaya with us. It's going to be great. And then we're going to do a happy hour edition, which we're going to replay next Monday during our usual 1 o'clock time. But we'll also be on live streaming tomorrow
it's fun.
from House on the River with our friend Steve DePuzzo. Happy hour time there, House on the River, beautiful spot. Again, my daughter, she hasn't been there yet, but she was on a boat ride. And they took a boat, they cruised past it on the
Yeah,
new river the other week. She goes, "Oh my God, it looks so pretty! It looks like it's in Charleston." I was like,
I can't believe you haven't
"Exactly."
taken- I can't believe you haven't taken her there yet.
She
Oh my
can't
gosh,
wait
she
to go there.
The tea.
No, forget the tea. She wants to go for the Vove,
Oh,
the House of Vove. Try to use her fake ID there, but I'm gonna
Oh,
wait till
Jesus.
she's 21. We're not using any fake IDs. She's gonna be 21 soon enough. So
There you go.
that's gonna be tomorrow. A good, nice doubleheader, and then Thursday we'll be at the new Fat Boys Barbecue, which is not going to be open to the public, but I think Lil Bird told me they are trying to open by Friday, so you can go
Nice.
into the latest location. Jarrell Jones, great guy. He, and his barbecue is pretty darn good. He does like a dry rub on his ribs, and he does good brisket, and his collard greens are among the best.
When he was the one that is like a real deal barbecue dude, where the sauce is there,
right.
he doesn't put it on. He
No.
wants to focus on the meat and the flavor. He comes
He's a
up with
dry rub smoke
Barbecue
guy,
stew.
which I don't know about like Ken, the professor, but
Ken's
me,
big
I
on that.
love that.
That's
I
Ken's
love
idea.
that style where you pick your own sauce. You want vinegar based, you want tomato based, whatever you want, but that's after all the smoking and cooking is done. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, enjoy every egg and enjoy every sandwich.
What did you say?